Hello, everybody, and welcome to Pantheon Talks. It is me, your amazing host, Apollo, and I just want to say a big thank you to everyone who is here joining me live. Thank you so much because we have a bunch of tea to get into and a bunch of drama, to be honest. There's just so much drama. I'm going to talk about the situation in the beginning, but I won't be going into detail on it because another YouTuber has already covered this in thorough detail. They had a live stream on it, and I also remember them saying that they will be releasing a condensed version where you'll just be able to get like the meat and potatoes of what they talked about. So huge shout out to webcomics_hub. They are amazing. And they give like really nice perspective, especially on the business front, which I feel like a lot of creators tend to lean away from. But I think in order to be successful, you have to be a little business oriented, or you have to have somebody who's going to be business oriented for you. So like if you know that's your weak suit, then you might want to be turning that over to someone else, like a lawyer. Which, speaking of lawyers, a huge disclaimer to everyone before we dive deep into this conversation. Everything that I'm going to say is going to be my opinion. I'm not necessarily going to tell you anything in regards to what you should or should not do. I'm just going to tell you what I think about the situation, how I would handle it if it was me, and then I'll probably tell you things, give you some advice or things to look into for the future. But hey, if you decide you don't like what I had to say, or you feel like what I said is illogical and doesn't make sense, I am not a lawyer, therefore take everything that I'm going to say in this stream with a grain of salt. All right, let's dive into this. So what we're really going to be talking about overall, which the tea, I guess, is basically Rocketship. So this is Rocketship Entertainment versus UnOrdinary, aka Uru-Chan, who is the creator. And basically they have some beef, like some hardcore beef, like is costing people money beef, is costing the creator money. Like, obviously, if you have a successful IP, you want to grow that IP so that you can make money off of it. Like, imagine if you were a creator and you had a very successful story, character, or whatever you want, or whatever you're working on, it is successful. So you might be on the side where you're like, oh, I'm just doing this for fun. Well, eventually it gets to the point where it's like, this is your livelihood, this is paying your bills, and therefore you need to make sure that you have a steady revenue income coming into you so that you can continue to not only support yourself now, but also into the future. And so this whole situation is really messing with Uru-Chan's money. Like, at the end of the day, I'm more irritated about this because Uru-Chan is one person, and as I know right now, the only thing that she has is UnOrdinary. Like, as far as like merch, prints, appearances, it's all UnOrdinary related. It's not like she has a ton of IP that's bringing in a bunch of revenue streams, at least to my knowledge. Therefore, I really feel like this is like even worse for her, which I'm not sure if I'm using the right pronouns for her, but I'm just gonna go with her for now. That's what I've heard people say. Maybe I should switch it to they. But anyway, this is what I've heard in regards to Uru-Chan is basically that this is her meat and potatoes right now. She could have some side hustles going that I just don't know about, but at the end of the day, UnOrdinary is the big IP that's gonna bring in the big money. Like, I'm talking, when you have this level of success, you can think of things like licensing, you can think of things like, allowing people to use your copyright, like they pay you for it. And that's where I'm really getting into the issue of why. So let's talk about Rocketship for a minute. I think Rocketship is not a terrible company by any means. Like, I think that it's a good idea to help creators, especially specifically webcomic creators, be able to release physical copies of their product. Because from what I've understood and the little bit of research that I've done, Rocketship handles a majority of the printing process and taking care of making your webcomic go from digital to print, which is awesome. That's less work for you, which means you can still focus on making your webcomic. There's so many things that I would outsource, but I don't have the money, nor do I have people that are interested in doing them for me, which means I have to do it. So I can only imagine a big creator who's working on a huge project not having a lot of time as it is already. You're having to release episodes weekly. Therefore, it's probably really hard to also be able to get out a physical copy of your work while you're doing a weekly story. So I think that's actually a really smart business plan, and I don't know, which y'all can correct me if I'm wrong, of any other companies that are necessarily doing this. And so what's also great, or you would think is great about this, is that Rocketship is owned. I'm going to say owned because I didn't look it up, but from what I understand, it's owned. And the reason I'm emphasizing owned is because I feel like the whole issue boils down to the owner versus Uru-Chan in that sense. Now, if they're not the owner, then it's Rocketship versus Uru-Chan. So there could be some partners involved in this or some other individuals that have stock in Rocketship, but the owner used to be a man who was at Webtoons, and allegedly what I've heard is he got fired. Maybe. I'm just throwing that out there. And so he decided to start this business. And, thinking with someone, when you logically think about that, that actually sounds, good to webcomic creators. Oh, you used to work for Webtoons? Wow, that's awesome. So you kind of know what I go through. You know that I'm super busy and I don't have a lot of time to do a lot of stuff. And they're like, oh yeah, I know exactly what you go through. I can help you. I can not only help you make a physical copy, but I can help you make money. Because if we look at like manga and stuff, a lot of manga gets its money from selling physical copies. Like the animes don't necessarily make them a lot of money, it's the manga. That's where like the juicy center is. That's where people are like getting their money from. And so if someone approached you and they, can completely understand what you're going through, can completely empathize with you and help you in a situation where it's like, oh, not only will this help me, but it'll also help you. You're like, okay, that sounds good. Now, what could be weird about the situation is if it's a complete stranger. You know how you get spam emails? Like, okay, this random person emailed me talking about turning my precious baby into a series. You might be a little hesitant to give them any sort of rights, especially if they tell you like, oh, the company doesn't exist yet, or I've just started the company, I don't have a lot of people yet, or like, here's a few people I have and I'm moving forward with this. Everything is kind of in that like beta or in that like trial stage where it's kind of like, are you going to actually become a company or not? Well, see, for me, if a company reached out to me about any sort of like merchandise or licensing deal, and they didn't have any proof of their product yet, which this is all from what I've streamed together. I don't think they had a product yet. I think this was all conjecture. And so based off of that, I would have been like, okay, well, I'll wait and see what, one of the other people who's agreed to work with you, what their stuff looks like before I'm like, yeah. Which, I guess a way around that is if you gave me like creative control over the fact that if the merchandise comes out and I don't agree with the quality, that it'll go back into production. So I guess, that could be a way around that. But this is where we get into the versus part. So Rocketship reached out to Uru-Chan after they were getting started or whatever. And basically they reached out to Uru-Chan as a friend. And so a friend, when you're talking to them, you're kind of like, Oh, hey. Oh, just said, I think Rocketship does the Let's Play books, but I'm not sure about the timeline. Okay, let's take a second because I'm going to end the slideshow. Lord, I don't. Can I do Safari? Yes, let's go. Rocketship Entertainment. So let's just pull this up. Can I full screen? Yes. And so we can kind of look at their platform, more or less. So it does look like they do Let's Play. It looks like they do a number of creators. So it looks like they've gotten, a lot of creators to, go along and agree with them in moving forward in this process. And so right on their front page, it says, we deliver premium editions of books the fans want. So with that in mind, it looks like there's, some attractive characters, popular characters, a number of different styles. So it looks like they have a number of different creators. Let's look at the titles. So they have a good bit of information, a good bit of creators that have joined them, which is awesome. Like, I'm all for people, expanding and getting more revenue for themselves, as well as being able to give products to fans, because there are things that fans want from creators that creators aren't necessarily always able to give. So this is great. Like, this is a really smart business idea, in my opinion. So my issue with this is when Rocketship reached out to Uru-Chan, they basically asked for the rights to be able to publish UnOrdinary for them. And so they sent over a contract. Now, mind you, the person who sent this used to work at Webtoons and was in a high position, which means they knew what was going on with their contract. So Uru-Chan decided to, listen to them, hear them out, and they thought of them as a friend. And let me just say this. Contracts save relationships. So regardless if it's your best friend, if it's your mom, if it's your dad, having something in writing for something that's going to potentially make a decent amount of money, maybe even a small amount of money, depending on, your relationship with the friend or whatever, you should get it in writing. And make sure that everyone's clear on the terms and everything, which Rocketship did send a contract. So here's the thing about this, which is where I was kind of getting into this earlier in our pre-stream, where I was talking about companies being a little, not wrong, but morally, I don't know what the right word is, morally, morally questionable. So let's say that I write something very specific into a contract that says that if you do not contest this contract within 30 days, I own complete rights to everything that you're signing away in the contract. So let's say it's for your webcomic series. Yes, thank you, Magnetic Salt. Morally dubious. And so with all of that in mind, it's kind of like, yes, it's legal, which I don't know if that's legal. I'm just using it as an example, but I'm just saying, yes, it's legal, but is it really? Is it actually, like from a sense of justice. I feel like if you're a big corporation, also, yes, hello Magnetic Salt. Everyone say hello to Magnetic Salt. They are new to the community, and so I'm so happy they could join again. I'm going to give you a heart. Can I give a heart? I think I can. Yes. All the hearts. So what I was saying was, okay, yes, like, you've given me a contract, but if a creator who is your friend doesn't fully understand their rights nor the value of what they're doing, wouldn't a friend, be fair with them and be like, hey, don't give me these rights for free, you can sell them. Wait, what? I can sell the rights for my characters? Absolutely. If a company reaches out to you and they're like, we would love to work with you, can you give us the rights to your character? Clearly, this company sees value, means dollar signs. Therefore, even if they don't have the money then, you can be like, okay, I will loan you this character, and in 6 months you have to pay me a balance of X amount of dollars. Like, there's ways to get around it in a contract if they're like they don't have money. My point with all of this is, if a friend is doing this and if we're being fair and you're like, X company screwed me over and blah blah blah, and this will really help me, it'll help you, and yada yada yada, then if we're trying to be on the up and up, then let's be on the up and up and say like, okay, I don't have the money for it right now, or this is value for you. Maybe you should talk to some people before you just sign over the rights to me for free, which I'm not privy to the conversation, so I don't know if that was said or not. But from the way it turned out, I'm gonna say it wasn't said. So yes, Taylor, good friends make sure you get your bank. Let me tell you, if I ever have people working for me, I wouldn't necessarily go around like being, everybody's parent. But I would try to give them opportunities for us to be fair to each other. So like, if I'm making money on this and it's like your project, like if I was a publishing house, I would be like, okay, this, and this for me, this, and this for you, plus some, or whatever. Like, I would want things to lean towards you because you're the creator. And that could just come from the fact that I'm also a creator, so I feel like it's really hard for, you're out here hustling to make money, and then there's only certain revenue streams or things that you can really focus on, that it just sucks away a potential revenue stream that you could have. So long story short, what happens with Uru-Chan and Rocketship, she signs over the rights to them, and then they're like, oh, well, just so you know, like, we have your rights now, and we're going to move forward with making the product. And so Uru-Chan's like, well, let me check with Webtoons. I didn't really think this through. And then Rocketship is like, okay, but we're not doing anything else. Like, we own the rights to it. We're going to keep them. So then Uru-Chan talks to Webtoons. Webtoons like, no, you can't do that. There's a clause in your contract that basically says that we have the rights to, make print. And they have to get permission from us as well. And the Rocketship creator, remember, used to work for Webtoons. So then he comes back and he's like, nah, sorry, I'm going to keep the rights, but if you want them, you can get it from me for X amount of money. And I wish I had written it down, but I didn't. Therefore, go and check out Web Comics Hub's stream, which I should put a link in the description. After the stream, there'll be a link in the description. But go ahead and check out their stream, or if somebody has the link, please put it in the chat for those who are here. But basically, they told them that they could buy the rights back from them. Now remember, we're supposed to be friends. I signed this because I thought that, you know, I could help you out as a friend, and then you're just like, nah, sorry, I can't. I'm keeping the rights. I obtained the rights, and the rights are mine. So, sorry, not sorry. And this is where I get to the point of, so you want to sell the rights back to me that I gave to you for free for a ridiculous amount of money? Like, are we kidding? I want to say it was like $1 million or $2 million or something like that, and then they had the nerve to put a timestamp on it. They were like, and I need it within X amount of time. Are you serious? Like, why would you do this to someone? Like, why? Like, if we're friends, clearly we're not friends. Like, this is some shark type stuff. Like, this is something that you would see in like a very corporate environment where it's like, sorry, you made a mistake, but also not sorry. So, I mean, either way, I'm gonna get my bag. That's the vibe that I get from this. Oh, hello! It's so good to see you. Too much is definitely right. If they had came back and they were like, well, can I get $5 for it? I still would have been pissed off. I would have been like, are you serious? You're asking me. I gave this to you for free, and clearly you thought it had value, so you didn't even tell me. Which, it's not their job, but I'm just saying in a terms of it being friends. So Jess said, I don't know if that's going to hold up in court. Can you sign over the rights to something you don't own? If so, I'm selling my neighbor's house. So that's the thing. I think like the only legal thing I could think of, like in terms, which the only thing I could really think of was that, like, from what I could understand is that Webtoons has a very small percentage of UnOrdinary, which means Uru-Chan has, you know, a majority of it. Therefore, if she signed over the rights, she's the majority. However, like, it depends on the wording in the contract. So that's where I'm like, I guess it depends on like how it goes about, because it could be a contract where it's like she has to bring everything to them first, like if another publishing house reaches out to her about this and then Webtoons is like, oh yeah, sure, or they say no. It just depends. And I guess it also depends if Webtoons is like, well, we're planning to make your, you know, stuff in print ourselves, or, you know, I feel like there's a bunch of variables that go into this, and so the only thing I could see is if it went to court, the lawyer arguing the fact that Uru-Chan has the majority rights and Webtoons only has a small stake in the rights, and that Rocketship is trying to, like, them putting forth the angle that they're trying to make Uru-Chan money, and this lawsuit has held them up because Webtoons owns such a small percentage. That's the only angle I could see. I'm not a lawyer, but that's where I'm just like, it's muddy. It's muddy. And I feel like you would have to have a really good lawyer. Let's see. Jess said, oh, so Artagon, we're talking about UnOrdinary and Rocketship. So Rocketship Entertainment, the company that makes premium physical copies of Webtoon creators or online comics into physical books for their fans. And so they are in a like war against each other for the rights to publish UnOrdinary. So that's what's going on. Taylor said, right, Jess. I don't even think of that. Do they own UnOrdinary, or does Webtoon own it? So Jess, from what I can understand, Webtoons owns a small percentage of UnOrdinary, and Uru-Chan owns majority. I want to say it's like less than 20%, and Uru-Chan owns 80%. And I think like they have different things that they have like first pick on. So it's like she has to bring it, they have to bring it, Uru-Chan has to bring it to Webtoon first. Webtoons is like, yes, that would be amazing. And then Uru-Chan's like, oh, great, let's figure out how much you're gonna get. Or they're like, no, go ahead, you know, live your best life, find you somebody who's going to make the comic for you. Jess said, first right of refusal. Yes. I think that's what it's called, at least in real estate. I think that's right too. I know that there was a writer in Hollywood that he was working for like Warner Brothers or something, and everything that he made had to go to Warner Brothers first. Warner Brothers would say yes or no that they wanted to buy the script from him. If they said no, then he had the right to sell it to other studios. And I think that's how it is with Uru-Chan, and it's a part of their contract. So this kind of leads into, when you think about like Lore Olympus is on like volume 5 or 6, and Rachel is getting that bag. Like, I've seen that those comics on like best-selling lists. So I'm thinking, like, when you think about the popularity of webtoons and the popularity of people like Uru-Chan and Rachel and Siren's Lament creator, like when you think about them, when they have a following like that, these people are willing to spend money on them, which means that having merch for them, especially like, there's nothing like having your favorite book. I love Alice in Wonderland. I have a collector's edition. I have normal editions. I have, you know, old editions. Like, I have a bunch of them, and I just love the book. Like, I don't read all the editions I have, but I love them. And so it's kind of the same concept. A lot of people are like growing up with these series, like they're younger and they really enjoy the series. And so them having a physical copy would probably be something really special to them. And then you think about the fact that at like book signings and stuff, like you can meet Uru-Chan, get your favorite creator, and then they can sign it right there in front of you, write you a nice little note, whatever. Like, all of this is stuff that is being deprived of Uru-Chan. So when you think about the fact that I think Webtoons started this, a year or two ago, doing the physical copies, and the amount of revenue that has been lost out for Uru-Chan is ridiculous. So this is why there's no physical copies of UnOrdinary right now. But I saw a post on Twitter, which I need to link as well. It looks like Uru-Chan's coming out with a copy at the end of the year. It's in like November or something. Magnet Salt said, do you think this suit is going to make Webtoon change up their contract terms for future creators? So, okay, this is like, we're about to go way deep into left field, because I think Webtoons is currently doing a lot to change their contract. And the reason why I say this is because I recently saw Lily Dust, the creator of Midnight Poppyland. She made a post stating that she has been negotiating with Webtoons to move her Webtoon series from 4 weeks, so 4 episodes a month, to 3 episodes a month. That's huge. I have always been on the train of never would I ever work for Webtoons on a regular basis doing a long serialized series, because there's no way that I could manage doing 4 episodes a month. That's so much work. And there's no buffer in there. Nothing. Like, that would be really hard for me. And so I was like, I can't. Webtoons is not being flexible with their creators right now. But seeing something like this really made me think, oh wow, they're making adjustments and they're actually negotiating with people on a one-on-one basis. So when you go into that room with them, like if they call you up and they're like, hey, we want to sign you, we really love your series, whatever, you need to go ahead and start putting out things that you want. And then if they say no, be like, okay, well, I want my contract to only be 6 months then. I want my contract to only be this amount of time. Like, you are negotiating something that is going to put stress on your body, put stress on you as a person mentally, emotionally. It's going to put stress on relationships. Like, it's going to do a lot. So you want to ask for everything that you can ask for and get exactly what you want. So to answer your questions, I do think the suit will change things. However, Webtoons is a company, and I think they're still going to be looking out for number one. So if you don't vocalize yourself, Webtoons is going to throw you a standard contract that benefits them the most, and then they're going to be like, okay, sign it. And if you sign it, they've got you locked in for however long that is. Unless, I have seen Webtoons let people out of contracts, but I'm just saying, like, if you want this going forward for a career, I think more people just need to be more vocal, and then don't feel pressured to answer them right then. Be like, okay, thank you, Webtoons. I really appreciate everything you said, and I will, review the contract and get back to you. Which we'll touch on that in a little bit, but I'm just saying in terms of like, wow, what, 2018, 2019, somewhere around there, I don't think they were as flexible, no. So yes. Suki, what's going on? Basically, in a nutshell, Rocketship Entertainment, they are a premium book creation service for Webtoon creators, is in a lawsuit against the UnOrdinary creator. I bet Webtoon started printing after Rocketship started up. So, Jess, okay. I think this was already in the pipeline of Webtoons. And I think Rocketship, because the guy used to work there, was like, y'all haven't done it yet? Y'all aren't really talking to people about this yet? I think I can start a business for this, and I can pick up a few creators because I work with them one-on-one, and I know them, and I know the popularity of their series and whatnot, and I know how to sell this, and I know how to make cash. And so he went in, and he was like, I started me a little business. I got the people. Like, he found his supply. The demand is already there because it's their fan base, and he got to work. Like, it's just, I want to say yes. I think Webtoons fast-tracked it. And so this is a thing about competition. If there's not competition there, Webtoons, because they don't have competition for stuff, they can just do whatever they want, how fast or however slow they want. I do think this definitely accelerated them to the state of, oh no, you're out there trying to poach our people. Well, we can make them physical copies too. And let me tell you, I have a bunch of physical copies from Webtoons now because I like the quality of what they made. They announced it. I wanted it for a series that I'm into. So, let's see. Just said the creator of UnOrdinary signed with Rocketship to print a book, but Webtoons says she didn't have the right to do that because of their contract, and now there's a lawsuit. Okay, yep. Suki says, bro, that's messed up. She doesn't deserve that. Webtoon is being really crappy right now. So Webtoons is actually fighting for Uru-Chan, to be honest. I don't exactly know to what extent. Like, I would have to do more research, which I'm not 100% that interested in, like, the legality of it. Like, I think it's really interesting, and I do want to know the results, but as far as what's specifically going on, it's in Webtoon's best interest to fight for Uru-Chan because she's a flagship comic for them. Like, she brings in so many readers. Like, people wait for episodes for her. Like, I see comments of people being like, I'm so ready for UnOrdinary, or I'm rereading the series. Like, she brings in money for them, so it only makes sense for Webtoons to, like, send in their lawyers or send in people to help or something like that to get, this situation rectified, because Uru-Chan is making the money. And let me tell you, if I owned webtoons, and if Uru-Chan was making like in the top 3 of making money in the American branch, I'd be like, we need to help her. We need to make her happy, because like if she's stressed out, because stress does affect the creative process. It can enhance it, it can make it worse, but I'm just saying, like, in the long run, I don't think stress like this is helpful. Let's see. Yeah, Jess said, oh yeah, he totally swooped in and started stealing their creators. Okay, let me talk about the Snail Lords thing. Like, during the Webcomics Hub stream, there is information that he reached out to Snail Lords about this, and then was like ticked off at the fact that Snail Lords had mentioned that he was trying to poach her. Bro, when you're trying to poach somebody, when you're trying to poach somebody, let me just tell you, it's gonna get out there. Like, you need to get in there, hit hard, hit fast, get all the people you want, talk to all the people you want, and then leave. Because otherwise, like, people are not gonna keep this under wraps. Like, this is not, like, I don't understand the mentality of, like, when you poach somebody, unless you're just super good at it, there's no way that they're not going to find out. And then the fact that you message somebody in print and say, like, please don't tell, or please don't say this. Are you insane? Like, everything I would say that was written would be so vague. It would be like, oh, Snail Lords, it's so good to see you. Do you have a moment to talk? Do you have a moment so that I could talk to you about a potential business opportunity? And then Snail Lords would be like, sure, what's it about? Oh, not here. We need to do this on the dark web. like, I'd be like, oh, we need to do this, and what state are you in? Is that a 2-party consent state? Okay, so I'm just recording the beginning of this conversation so that we both know that you're in a state that does that we need 2-party consent, which means that you can't record this or say this to anybody. Like, dude, I don't understand. Like, all the shadiness, and then, like, you're not even doing a good job. Like, how are you not doing a good job at this? Like, I have, like, private thoughts that I want to say about this situation, but I feel like I should not say on stream. I'm just gonna say this, like, nope, that's a personal attack, and I literally am talking about, like, not saying certain things to the public to get yourself in trouble. But to all of the people who I talked to about this before the stream, if you know, you know, and all I'm gonna say is, you know where this person has worked. Moving forward, all for physical copies, but this is really bad. Yeah, it's super bad. Do you think Webtoon will keep working with her after this? Yes. I think, so here's my thing about Webtoons. I do think Webtoons can be a little predatory sometimes. And I just mean, like, I don't necessarily think that they're trying to be predatory. I just think this is the way it comes across sometimes, is because some of these people are super, super young when they get signed on to be an original. They have no life experience. They have no money, they have nothing. And so when Webtoons comes and they're like, we would like to make you an original and pay you to make a webcomic, then these creators who are so young are like, oh my good grief, this is all I've ever wanted. Yes, thank you, my savior. Like, the holy light comes down and shines on them or something. And so I think there's, like, a little bit of mentality where, like, creators are blinded. And so that's why I'm really appreciating, you know, creators like Mongi, creators like Lily Dusk, creators like Snail Lords, who are, like, very outspoken about their contracts, very outspoken about, the Lovebot creator, very outspoken about, like, how they want a better contract, how they want better things, because if they're not vocalizing these things, I feel like a lot of creators are going in blind and thinking, like, oh, I don't have any power. You have the power. It's like, before you sign, you have the power to make the contract right, okay? or at least more favorable. I think the expression "we both leave not completely happy" is one of the best things to keep in mind when making a contract. That means like neither side is happy, therefore the contract is probably more fair. Oh, sorry, Suki. Bye bye. Didn't get a chance to, you know, talk to you that long, but I appreciate you stopping by. Oh, Taylor. My guy at Rocketship definitely took his email contacts with him when he left. Oh, he did more than take his contacts with him. I can only imagine. They definitely have a lot of questionable divisions. Yes, yes, yes. So, this is where I wanted to touch on also, just be careful on what you say. Like, I know there's a lot of people who just say whatever they want on the internet, and there's nothing wrong with that, but from a professional sense, like if you're trying to start a business or you're trying to, you know, work with other people, people pay attention to things that you say, and like a few misspoken words at the right time can piss somebody off, and they will never work with you in the future ever again. Like this stream right here, it was a calculated decision on my part to decide, hey, am I going to talk about this issue with Rocketship and UnOrdinary? I could potentially isolate both of them because maybe Uru-Chan doesn't want her business out there like this. And maybe Rocketship really doesn't appreciate, you know, the way I'm leaning towards UnOrdinary on this, or leaning towards, you know, putting them in an unfavorable light. So, like, you know, that could be two bridges that I burned just from this stream if they happen to watch it. And even if they don't happen to watch it, let's say I'm trying to work with them in the future, literally this could be like the point that keeps us from moving forward with the collaboration. And so, like, that's where I'm kind of like, even in private settings, like Uru-Chan was venting to creators in a Discord chat, and you know, so this is all written. Well, it doesn't necessarily have to be written, but this was written, and she was telling creators, she didn't use any names or anything, but it was obvious, especially now with this case, who she was referring to, and a creator screenshot what she said and gave it to Rocketship. So even I'm not going to get into whether I think that was right or wrong. I'm just saying, like, what you say can be used against you. What you say, what you do, who you talk to, how long you talk to them, how much you say, it can circle its way back to you, and it can end up in a court case. It just blows my mind that, like, Instagram, Facebook, Discord are, like, being presented as legal documents. Like, I guess this is where society is headed, but it's just wild. It's wild. So that's where I'm just like, you have to be careful with what you say. Sometimes I think back on like messages that I've had with people, like, you know, from getting to know you guys, talking to you guys and all of that stuff, and like, I'm like, man, I don't know if I should have said that to that person. I don't know if they're going to keep it confidential or not, but like, I've already said it. They could have screenshotted, even if I delete it, they could have screenshotted, and so there's no way for me to take back what I said. So I try to be more selective when I'm talking to people. Like, I want to be open with people. I want to be able to express myself, and I want to be able to be like relatively honest with you, relatively kind to everybody. But then it gets to a point where it's like, what is going on? You know what I'm saying? Like, I have to be private about everything. I can't say anything. And so that's where you have to be balanced with this. Magnetic Salt said, all my vent posting will be done by smoke signals from now on. Like, here's the thing. I feel like you just have to be selective about who you vent to. Just be careful. Like, if you don't know them that well, you know, you're taking a risk already. But I'm just gonna be honest with people who I've connected with. I'll probably vent to them, and if they use it against me, that'll just be the end of our friendship, most likely. Like, I'll still respect you as a human and as a creator, but I just won't, like, we won't vibe anymore. But that's the thing about it. And it's just one of those things where, you know, don't blatantly tell everybody everything, but at a certain point, you've got to trust somebody. So, Magnetic Salt, you are free to vent to close friends whenever you want. You are free to, you know, talk to close friends about things that you really want. And hey, I mean, you know, opening up is a part of building trust with people. And so I try to open up to people. I try to build trust if I can. But certain things I'm just like, I can't say that. Like earlier on the stream, I was like, y'all, I cannot give you my opinions about this because, like, I'll go to jail. Artigon said, society today is truly nuts in the most questionable of directions. So, yes, like, I don't know what it is about, like, I don't understand why people have become so greedy. Like, people have always been greedy, but I feel like greed has reached, like, an all-time high. Like, is it like, I don't know what it is, but it is insane. And I just want people to be, like, more kind about things, more fair. Like, I'm all about, like, if you're running a company, your objective is to make money. I get it. But, like, you can be fair about some things. Like, you can be open about some things. Like, if this was true like, if Uru-Chan had a lawyer, and then, like, Rocketship had a lawyer, and they were both talking, and then Uru-Chan's lawyer screwed her over or whatever, that would be a completely different situation to me, but because that's business. But, like, when you're bringing in the personal aspects, and it just makes it seem like you're taking advantage. Like I was talking about with Webtoons, how it can be kind of predatory sometimes because these people are so young. I'm not saying Webtoons is being a predator, because, like, if they send you a contract, you know, you have the right to take it to friends, to family, to a lawyer, to, you know, a teacher, to somebody to help you with it. I'm just saying, like, you know, certain behaviors lean itself to a certain way. It's just insane and unhinged, like unhinged behavior. So, let's see. Jess said, I know your real name from your Zoom profile. I'll never tell. Jess, was that my name or was that Poe's name? Because we were using Poe's Zoom. I don't mind telling you my real name, Jess. So, we'll see. I might actually message you because I'm like, do you know my real name? I don't remember. That was a while ago. Waterboard me. I'll never disclose. Too funny. Okay, so funny thing, my real name is a very, like, I feel like people who have this name are not like me. Like, I have a very jock name, like, and I'm very artistic, if you can't tell. No, I'm kind of a shark, but my real name is 5 letters. So I'm gonna leave it at that. And if you can figure it out, I will get you a boba if we ever meet in person. I would never open up to another person. Aww, who hurt you? Artigon said, leading to unjustifiable wage gaps. Okay, Artigon, like, we're about to devolve into, like, crazy territory there. Do not get me started on the minimum wage issue here in the States. Jess said, a lot of people have no honor. It's like an outdated concept. I'm keeping my real name off of the web as much as possible. Article, me too. I actually use a fake name for a lot of stuff, to be honest. I guess it's Poe's name. Yeah, it probably was Poe's name. If we're thinking on the same vibe. Yes. Alright, then, what? Popa? I don't know what we're talking about. So, like, Guys, I just want to say thanks for being on the stream and chatting with me. It's been a lot of fun. Like, I really appreciate it, you guys, jumping on. And so, part of the stream, I wanted to talk about, like, the business side of things and then how to be smarter as creators. And part of that is, like, protecting yourself, like, learning what legal rights that we have as creators, because, like, art is such a hard field to be in. You don't want to make it in that field and then be like, dot dot dot, like, what's going on? I'm being taken complete advantage of. So this is where I'm like, look into these things, please. Like, if you ever get to a point in your career where, like, you're becoming a big artist, like, please start looking up and researching things for your business, because once you make it to a certain point, it's no longer just art. You're a business. You have an IP. Like, you could be up for potential licensing deals with fast food places like McDonald's. Like, come on now. So I would say look into getting a lawyer, and if you can't afford to have one on payroll, which, lawyers are crazy expensive, look into building a relationship with one. I would definitely say look into an intellectual property attorney in the beginning, especially. That way you can go ahead and set up, like, everything that you need to have in place, because comics are a visual medium. Therefore, like, you'll want to make sure that not only can your character be protected, like, from a literal description, but also from a visual aspect. And then I would say you would also possibly need an entertainment lawyer. It seems like Webtoons is moving towards being more akin to, like, a publishing house / studio. Like, it's looking to me like eventually they want to get to the point where they're going to be making more than just web comics. So it would be important to have, like, an entertainment lawyer, or at least somebody with an entertainment background that can assist you with the contract. And then keep in mind that everything that you make has value. If a company approaches you and they want to get a character from you, they want to do, something with your comic, that means that it has value to them and they foresee that it can make them money. So, ... you'll want to take time and assess what the proper value for said object is before moving forward. Yeah, Artagon said, yeah, they're doing physical books and short animated YouTube videos now. Yup. So, you'll want to get, like I don't know, because see, with them doing YouTube stuff, I'm like, do you get some of that money, or does that count as advertisement? But they're making money off of it, but it's advertisement. So, like, there's a lot of things that an entertainment lawyer would be able to assist with in making sure that you're at least getting a percentage of whatever sort of returns they're getting from your IP. And never trust anyone in business. I don't care if it's your best friend, if it's your mama, your daddy, your sister, your brother. Like, what matters in court is what's in black and white. And I'm sure Jess can tell you that people don't read contracts. And if you don't read contracts, even if it's a contract from a family member, there could be something in there that just completely screws you over. And the court has nothing to stand on then. So become familiar with certain legal terms and legal documents, or legal, I don't know what this would exactly be called, legal process, I'm not sure. I'm just going to say become more familiar with your legal options. And so one of them would be to get a patent on your work. Now, patents, from what I can understand, generally focus more on, like, technology, new inventions, that sort of thing. So I don't know if this would necessarily apply, but What's interesting is that when I was researching, it said some artworks such as dress designs, fabric patterns, and jewelry can be patented. And so when I was thinking about this, I was like, oh, there are certain outfits that I definitely could see having a patent, like Cinderella's dress. I can see like the Demon Slayer kimonos or whatever they are. I don't know if they're necessarily kimonos, but the shirts that they wear, I could see those designs being patented. And then if anyone makes something similar to that, they've got to pay you. So that's where I'm just kind of like, understanding stuff like this would be really beneficial. But you really won't know, like Cinderella's dress. I don't necessarily think that when it first came out, someone would have patented it. I think after they saw the success of it, they could have been like, oh yeah, we need to patent that. Unless you just really believe in the design. Jess said you should always assume the other party is looking out for their own best interest, not yours. 100%. Next is trademark. So trademark would definitely be something that I think like once you get up and running, and if you have something unique that you can trademark, I would definitely think that you should go through the process of getting a trademark done. Like if you have a unique logo, like think about things like Naruto. I'm trying to think of like what is that series? Like my brain is like blanking on it, but it has like a really cool symbol. Game of Thrones, they have a bunch of symbols in there. Those are all things that you might want to trademark so that people can't just use it. And it's kind of hard to say that because like there are things where it's like, oh, it's similar in that and this, but this is just to help you from a legal stance. So if you go to court, if you take someone to court, your trademark is dated. Your trademark shows exactly like when you officially went to court to try and get proof that this is yours and not theirs. And so that way, if they don't have a trademark, then from the government standpoint, like that's where this will help. Taking things to the government. And I can only speak about the US. I didn't research, everywhere, but you should research in your country what legal documents and systems you can use to help benefit yourself. And then the last thing is copyright. What exactly differs trademark from copyright? So glad you asked. So looking at what we were just viewing, so it says a trademark is a symbol, word, design, or phrase, or any combination thereof that is uniquely distinguishable in making one product functionally indistinguishable from competitors. So that's like, I feel like trademarks really lean closer to for like logos or symbols. There's probably certain aspects where you could use a trademark for a character, depending, like I guess like if it's something directly related to the character, I could see like Superman, he has his symbol, and I could see that being trademarked in of itself, but then I could see Superman being copyrighted, like him having both, or there being a need for both. So that's where I'm kind of like, it gets into copyright. It says a copyright ensures pictures, paintings, music, words, and other original works of creativity cannot legally be duplicated and disseminated without the maker's authorization. So here's the thing about copyright. So technically, you're registering a copyright, you're not necessarily making a copyright. And that's a very like legal technicality. And basically the registration would be for proof. If you went to court, it would be saying like, okay, I legally copyrighted my character in 2012, and then in 2014, this artist started drawing the exact same character. They're stealing my character, so if you go to court, your copyright says this. So unless they have a copyright that predates yours, or if they have a copyright that was filed around the same time, that's the only way I could see you having an issue legally. But again, not a lawyer. This is something you would have to discuss with a lawyer and see if it's actually beneficial. Like, there's certain things I can see you wanting a copyright for, but then there's also things where I'm like, is it even worth it? And then at a certain point, it's kind of like the work is already associated with you as a creator. So how could someone steal it from you? I feel like copyrighting a popular comic, if it's not already copyrighted, would be really hard. So, well, not hard, would be really difficult for someone to steal, because like the work is so popular and you're attached to the IP already. So if you went to court, you kind of are like, the copyright's already been established with you producing the work in the beginning. Artigon said, like the Tuhu kaiju symbols for each of their kaiju. I'm not too familiar with kaiju, but I would say if there's symbols, likely there's a trademark for the symbols, and then there's probably copyrights for the kaijus themselves. So it just depends, because like I'm thinking like when you think about like McDonald's, or like, I don't know why McDonald's is like so heavy on my brain, but like McDonald's, Target, like restaurants and shops and stuff, a lot of them have like their mascots, and they have like their identifying factors, like Starbucks has the siren and stuff. I feel like all of that stuff would be trademarked. Copyright, I feel, is more so for artwork. Like, I guess you can copyright it too. Like, I feel like it would really depend on the situation. Like, you probably would need to talk to the, like, whatever lawyer you're talking to really figure out what would be best to go with in the beginning. And who knows, they might tell you you should do both. So, and from what I can understand, copyright's not that expensive. So like, I would probably, like, if we ever got like really big, there's certain things that I would definitely want to get like a trademark for and copyright for. So I hope that answers your question, or I hope that it gets you a better understanding. Maybe I'll do some like heavy research on it and make a video about copyright in the future if y'all are interested in that. That definitely would be something I think would be beneficial for me, because like that, I only have a basic understanding and I don't plan on filing anything anytime soon. So I didn't really see a huge need to necessarily research it. But in terms for this stream, I feel like having all of this stuff together, like if Uru-Chan had more documentation of stuff, she would be more protected and be able to help herself more, which I don't know if she does. She might. It could just be the situation. But I feel like the more documents you have once you become bigger, the more protected you can be for yourself. So this is what I was going to say. I did look up this one article, which I'm going to leave a link for this. Since I had to start another stream, all of my links are not on this stream, but I'll add them to it. So it says, if your copyright is registered, then it may be easier to prove timing for infringement lawsuits. And as already mentioned, you can be eligible for additional damages above and beyond the actual cost of infringement to you. So if you do have these documents that are filed, it can help you in court to get even more. So I think that's where it can be really beneficial to have these documents filed. All right, guys, like, I know this is a bit of a longer stream, but check out our Patreon. Be sure to follow us on all our social media accounts, link in the description. We are particularly active on Instagram, so if you want to chat with us, feel free to pop on by. All right, I'll catch you in the next live stream. Yes.